So I know we were talking about what we want for future. So I thought I'll talk a little bit about what we had in the past and maybe what we should think about having in future. So we tend to romanticize the past a lot. If you hear people, they say, we used to have better education before. Costs are rising. We used to have, maybe we now have more traffic. Things overall we have been, the question is that what has objectively, which we can all agree, has become better now than what it was before. I'm not talking about like 30, 40 years back, but like 10 years ago, what we can all agree that, okay, it's better now. So, is the cricket better? Music better? I see a lot of people talk about our old time music was thing. Is the movies better? And also, are we happier? Are we more lonely? Social media technically has connected all of us, but we tend to be a little bit more unhappy now. So if our past was better, then how are we making progress? How are we going into a future? And I'm basically more interested in basic things, like air, water, happiness. And since I've been working in water for last 10 years, I wanted to talk to you guys about one particular thing, and which is what I'm interested in. It's water. So let's take a step back in time. If I think all of us have had, ways we have interacted with water, but let's say if you go back in 2000s, how would you get your water? Where are you getting your water from? I think if you probably ask your parents, you were getting the water directly from their tap, or they had this kind of a candle stick water purifier, and we had like water wells or something like that. If you go to weddings, I don't think you see these anymore, but we had these kind of water campers back in 2000s. If you're going to a shop, you would see glass bottles. I found this image. It's a really nostalgic image. I think only people from 90s would remember it. But we had these bottles for schools, and these bottles for when we were going around in train and all. And so this was a landscape of how we were consuming our water. By the way, I also wanted to mention this. What about soft drinks? Again, not a lot of people would remember, but we used to have like 1 liter, 2 liter big Coca-Cola, Pepsi bottles, and we could return it and get a little bit money back. And so we would have only glass bottles, right? And so of course, where I'm going from here. Let's compare it to today. Every home has a water purifier. Every single home has a water purifier. Every single, or they're getting these 20-liter jars in their home, their offices, wherever. If you're going out, you would see these bottles there everywhere. You would go see these in your restaurants, in weddings, in events, all the places, right? And soft drinks, of course, everything is plastic now. We don't have, I think they still sell these nostalgic bottles some places, but most of the places we have these plastic bottles. So if you think about it, what we just compared, we had it better then, right? We had maybe tap water, we had cheaper water, and we were not using plastic. Now we are using ROs, which we know waste a lot of water, and we are using plastic, microplastics and all that. So objectively, at least in water space, we can say that we used to have it better. And now we are in a place where we are using, it's also more expensive, by the way. We are putting in a lot of money on these things. So I came back from US, and then I actually started installing these machines. They are called water ATMs. Now they're quite popular, but at that time they weren't. And I want to tell you a quick story actually about that time. So when I first installed these machines, we went to villages, and we really had to convince people that you can pay a small amount of money, like a rupee or 2 rupee, and get water. The idea was that, water is still affordable, but it's pure and clean, and that money we generate would be used to maintain these equipment. And I remember there was a lady who said to me that, why should I buy this water? ये पानी क्यों पीऊँ? And I told her, अम्मा ये पानी आपके लिए साफ नहीं है, ये आपको बीमारियाँ देगा. And she basically said, let me just put it in English also. She said that I told her that you should take water from this because water now is contaminated. And she basically replied back to me saying that हमारे दादा परदादा ये पानी पी रहे थे, इसमें क्या problem है? So my parents, my grandparents were drinking this water. What's wrong in it? So I couldn't convince them to take water from this, and we were falling sick and everything, but we couldn't convince them. And then, so we started putting these machines in railway stations, and this is 2019, so six years, I think 2026, 7 years later on. And then at this time, we put a label over there saying clean water or swachh pani. And this time people were not buying water again. So we were like, what do we do? So then we actually relabeled it. If you read it over there, it says there, Thanda RO pani, RO water. And then suddenly people started buying it. And so we went from a time in 2013-12 where people were like, why should I pay for water? Where people were buying RO, they knew about RO. These are in railway stations, villages. So RO became so ubiquitous, and I think this is only in India where everyone knows RO, reverse osmosis. This is not there in any other country that I've been to or traveled. So how did we get to this? And I think the one word for it, I've just taken a screen grab, is marketing, ads. When they use these ads, they play on our fear, because you want the best water for your family. And if you see some of these ads, that's what they say, don't wait to fall sick. And I just Googled this today morning. So this is, I think everybody has seen it. As a matter of fact, these ads have been so successful that a new breed of water purifiers don't even try to convince you that you need RO, because you're already convinced. Nowadays they say, you don't need to change the filters, right? And so it has gone to the next phase where everybody is already convinced what is RO, they need RO, and they're already into this. But what do you need? You need 6-stage, 7-stage, 8-stage, and this is a full cycle that is going on actually. Because ROs are wasting water, and by consuming ROs, you actually are getting you are losing water that we had, resources, and now you're even more reliant on water, and we are getting into this very vicious cycle. Actually, this is a very famous ad. It's called Keep America Beautiful. And the ad, I don't remember, I think it's 1980s where it was published in US. And in this ad, this person actually is a Native American. He's not a Native American actually, but they showed him as a Native American who walks onto the beach and he sees plastic bottles around him and he starts crying, right? And this is the message there: get involved now. Pollution hurts all of us. And what they wanted to tell people is that plastic bottles you need to recycle, right? But this is kind of a psychology that they were playing, that if you see plastic bottles around you, actually it is not the mistake of those companies. It's the mistake of the person who has consumed it, right? So instead of you being upset at the company who is doing the plastic, like these big giants, you should be upset at the person who used the water and threw it over there. And so actually this Keep America Beautiful, this was actually sponsored by these guys. So this is the way, they have been changing the psychology and thinking about it. One actually recent thing that happened was that a very famous bottle brand, they ditched their iconic green color because apparently you were able to make out in the big trash dumps, which company the bottle was from. So this is actually very recent. I think this is 2022. So this is how. And I also wanted to go back in time and see, water ad is not unique to India. So how did it start? Actually, it's very interesting. So Evian actually started selling water, I think back in 1930s, and it was basically sold as water for children. Because again, when it comes to children, people are willing to do outrageous things such as buying water, which never had happened in the history of humanity, right? Nobody had ever bought water, but people were willing to do that for their children. And so this is how actually the water had started. They started with this whole thing of fear, in our minds. And going this, back to the full circle, I just, now we have made water so, water purifier is ubiquitous. Everybody knows RO, and unfortunately, I see the same thing now happening with air. They're using the same fear-based marketing that what is best for your family, and even this water from water now we are even losing our air. So we have given up on our right to clean air as well. And we do get good water in some cities, right? But why not in all the cities? And the question is that, I don't remember, but again, collectively the amount of money we all spend on these water purifiers and these filters and all of that, wouldn't it be just cheaper for us to have a great water treatment plant in our city and get potable tap water? Similarly, I remember there was a time when we used to get a lot of load shedding, and so everybody used to have those small gensets, and all of those gensets were working and they were causing pollution and they were expensive. But I think now, it's, at least in Delhi and other cities, it's better, you get electricity. So collectively we have this, but we don't have the same thing for water. And there are times when future means innovation, research, technology, but for sometimes it's about reclaiming what we had in the past. It is not inventing something new, it is just going back in time and seeing what we had then and now what we don't have. We have come a long way, but sometimes at great cost to our fundamental rights. And I want you to think about in India where, water is we keep it as our right, and we have potable tap water at home, and I think we have to demand accountability for this. We have to demand water, clean water, and instead of, a fear-based approach to, let's do this, it's about collective action. And, these are two things that I wrote here that I think are very, very simple. Maybe you should just check the water. I was talking to somebody and they told me that in Noida also they're getting some Ganga water, which is not bad. So then you don't need RO maybe, right? So don't go for what the marketing tells you that you need RO. Just see what you have. And if you don't need some kind of plastic or this, don't go for it. Go for what you need. And if you don't have what you need in areas, I know some places, especially in Delhi side and Noida side and Faridabad, we have terrible quality of water. I think we need to demand better water. Ultimately, water is our right. I mean, that's what I keep back going to, because we need to demand it. And like air, we are losing our air also now. Maybe I've seen it normalized. People are buying air purifiers. Even 3-4 years ago, we were scoffing at air purifiers, but now I just had a baby, so I had to buy an air purifier for my home. And I think this is probably the most important thing, that we need to demand this, because these are very, very important things. The amount of money that we are spending in our cities, for these things is enormous. And ultimately, we are not, meant to pay for these things like air, water, or the sky above us. And if we don't reclaim it, somebody will go around and try to sell it to us. And it's not about just survival, it's about thriving together. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.